Plug out. It smells flooded. It's not wet.
No fuel.
What have you done? Nothing.
Right, I know what you're thinking. Where have you been the last year and a half? What on earth is that car? And where did Joe get those really cool tattoos? Okay, well, to answer your questions, I'm going to have to take you back about a month to Buckmore Park in Kent. Go, 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 go! Now, those of you that have been here before will know that normally I'm racing in the senior Rotax class, which is what I've done for the last 5 or 6 years now, predominantly around local tracks in Kent, such as Buckmore Park. Now, I haven't done a karting video in a long time, and that's namely because there's not really been much different. And I've never raced in any other class until recently. Now, I had a chat with Jay, who runs Medway Valley Kart Club and the F100 Spirit of the Nights Championship. So for those of you unaware, F100 runs both reed and rotary engines. So the old Formula Intercontinental A and the old Formula A classes from the 1990s. And this is widely perceived as the golden age in karting. The Medway Valley Kart Club weekend, where normally I'd be racing in senior Rotax, I had a go in a 1999 Tony Kart Extreme with a 100cc IAME reed valve engine on it. And you're probably wondering, what's the big deal with this? It kind of looks dated, it's a smaller engine. Well, I'm just going to shut up here and you're going to have your eardrums, yes, you lucky people with multiple ears are going to have your eardrums blessed with 22,000 RPM. Enjoy. Once you reach for the button, there's no button, obviously. Wow. That is proper, my friend. That's alright, that. Lovely, cheers for that. Right, time to do it all over again. So immediately after hopping out the F100 kart, I ran to the other side of the paddock to jump in for my senior Rotax session on the GMS CKR kart. Killer, isn't it? Oh, this is going to be really boring now. Double duty, baby! Oh, my arms are already gone. So immediately I realised just how much force I had to put in the brake pedal in the F100 kart to get it stopped. And yeah, don't get me wrong, I always enjoy hacking a Rotax around Buckmore Park, but something was missing after that session and I knew exactly just then what I had to do next month.
What go? You stupid! Oi! Can't park there, sir! What the hell, mate?
Big spoon or little spoon, Joe?
Oh, on the floor.
Yeah, you're right. Did the whole shed just fall? So after a successful test outing, myself and Joe made a trek down to glorious Yeovil and Clay Pigeon Raceway. Well, in light of all the recent riots, the French have now been at it, and there's just a bag full of baguettes by my car. Right. Here we are on the grid. It looks so much smaller in real life.
Does it?
No, that looks lethal. Unless it's wet, maybe.
Yeah, it's wet.
Yeah.
Obviously, you go over the left as well. I don't know why I'm giving you information
That's
here.
fair. Bit of camber. Well, anything is better than nothing at this point.
Don't do what I say.
So, Clay Pigeon Raceway hosts the third round of the F100 Spirit of the 90s Tour in 2024. And we are making our race debut in the pre-2000 class on board the same kart we used at Butmore Park. Very appreciative to Jay and the whole crew for making this possible. But yeah, after a bit of a chaotic start to the morning, Jay got rather stuck in traffic, and you can actually hear the karts going around in practice behind us. But soon, we were ready to go.
If I fall over, that's on me, mate.
Now, one of the quirks of these 100cc karts is that they are direct drive, which means there's no clutch and no starter, and you have to push start it every single time, and that was a challenge in itself. I'll do it, yeah. Ready?
Yeah. Right, ready?
Ready, 3, 2, 1.
Run behind you and push your shoulders, yeah? Ready? Right, go on, go.
Nah.
Right, ready?
Run?
Ready?
Yeah. So eventually we got there, and already knackered before we even got on circuit. A very steep learning curve to say the least, but apart from that, Friday was a pretty smooth day. Now, most of Friday was spent learning the track, as we'd never been here before. Always wanted to, but just never quite happened. But yeah, as the day went on, slowly making adjustments on the motor, trying to get more power out of the engine, and pushing ourselves as well, trying to find the limits of these karts. If anything, the nicer drama was off track. But yeah, much like Butmore, we were very quickly on the pace. In fact, our Butmore Park run, in only a couple of sessions, we managed to do a 39.8, which was almost quicker than the fastest lap of the whole weekend, which was on new tyres. So yeah, looking competitive from the off here and really enjoying the driving experience. So the obvious question is, why this class? Now, just from these couple of shots alone, you can see the karts are much smaller and much more bare bones, very, very minimal. There's just wheels, an engine, no radiator, no ECU, no clutter, just a pure driving experience. Very light and nimble karts that are very rewarding to drive. So with our first full day done, we went out for a relaxing evening meal. So day 2 at Clay Pigeon Raceway, and a much more different outlook in terms of the weather and the conditions on the circuit. Very hot and sweaty on Friday. What a difference a day makes, as Joe pushes us out, and Just admiring his technique there. Just letting you know, ladies, Joe was single at the time of recording this, although that is prone to change on a weekly basis. But yeah, quite a few more people out on this day, as this is sort of the official test day, if you will, with all the F100 boys out getting their own grid. And so, as we reluctantly push ourselves onto the circuit, it's quite clear that visibility is at a premium on these early sighting laps. And there's a bit of moisture in the air as well, as you can see on the visor, which made Saturday's running a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. It's very hard to get a proper read on where we were. Traffic as well played a bit of a role. As you can see, it's very slick out there as I go for a quick detour at the hairpin. But yeah, we really wanted to use this day to try out our other motor, try out a few things and just find a bit more performance, but it was very near impossible to get a proper read on the situation and find out where, get a feel for anything with just poor track conditions. Although it's pretty badass going one-handed through turn 1 sliding in the rain. But on the positive, our push starts were getting much more slick. Even if it wasn't every time.
Ow! Ow! Fuck! Thinking it's nails in my neck!
But hey, it's hard work. Can't be perfect all the time. Isn't that right, Joe? Just what you want to see outside the window of the Airbnb.
Louis, mate, there's a protest happening outside our hotel, mate.
Ow. What the So race day dawned and off to a fantastic start, topping our class and very nearly topping the whole practice session. Up until this point we hadn't had any reliability issues whatsoever.
Ready? Go, 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 go! Keep pushing! Sake. Get back in, you go!
So typically as soon as we got into a racing scenario, our engine just wouldn't start.
Smells flooded. It's not wet.
No fuel.
James, what have you done? Nothing.
Have one go at this and that's it. You can get on the back.
Okay.
Get in, you come this side.
Push him here.
Yeah. We've got to go quick. Go, 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 go.
And with that, our first heat was over before it even begun.
Oh, I've got that. Nothing's changed.
It went easy last time.
Yeah.
It don't look like it's pulling fuel. No.
It's all in there. Yeah.
So after a bit of tinkering we found some damage to the reeds and a few other little tweaks which Joe very swiftly fixed, and we were back up on the grid for heat 2. And I was reminded just how much I miss the Rotax community. Much better getaway as we push off for the second heat of the day. 3 randomly gridded heats for the F100 Spirit of the 90s Championship, with pre-95 karts running off the front and the pre-2000 class running off the back. Playing it slightly safe on the start here, and our first ever race in F100 is underway. Immediately cutting across Stuart Guest as we go through Billy's and up into the lead of pre-2000. Just sitting back here trying to suss out our competitors in pre-95. Obviously the guys in front, we've never raced them before, so just biding our time, being patient as we safely make it through the first lap, and just trying to find a way through the traffic. Obviously it makes for some interesting racing. These guys in front are not in our class, they are in the pre-95 as mentioned earlier, which is karts obviously up until 1995. As we have to make massive evasive action there into the hairpin, and luckily we come out unscathed as Stuart tries to get back at us around the outside. But apart from that, it was a pretty convincing lights to flag victory in pre-2000, and pretty satisfied with that. About a 7-second gap back to P2. Not many of us in this class this weekend, but still very nice to come away with a win. But yeah. And it was also our first proper run on the Vega tyres. We had a few laps in practice, but other than that we didn't have a practice set these. Now as we push off for the third heat, I want to point out Stuart Guest here, who didn't have a pusher and manages to get away completely solo. Now I cannot stress how hard that is to do. My kart is a bit of a lead sled, I'm a skinny boy, but yeah, we're away. This time we're starting at the back of the grid, which is a bit of a shame because the first heat we missed. I was due to start on pole, but never mind. Away we go for heat number 3. Quite cautious on the start because, well, that's exactly why, as there's a pile-up involving Chris yet again. I hate to be the bearer of the bad news, mate, but that's 2 heats yeah, in a row where he's crashed the opening laps. But we tuck in, just biding our time. We were about 4 tenths quicker than our nearest rivals, so I'm quite happy to bide my time in this race. Lining up and move on Stuart Guest. Actually have a cheeky little look through the last corner, but a bit of drama actually as we head out the last corner. And to get out the throttle, it's a random understeer that we hadn't really experienced before. Yellow flags are out for the incident at turn 1, so we can't, turn 2, so we can't make a move down there. But lining up a move now on Stuart, it's all clear up ahead. We're going to make any move happen and get that done nice and clean. Does try to look back at us around the outside, but the outside becomes the inside for us, and we make that move stick. Now you're probably wondering, why are you driving one-handed? Now for those that are in the know, you'll know that this is what's called choking, and just covering the air intake, and what that does is that gives the engine a bit of fuel, protects these engines as they do not have a rev limiter, which is something very different about this era of karting. So you're basically doing it to stop it detonating itself. You're kind of playing Russian roulette at 70 plus mile an hour. This essentially richens the mixture, gives it a bit more fuel, but you can find quite a bit of performance running it lean. So it's very much a case of how much do you want to risk, as we're following the leader in pre-2000. We've caught up to Matt Dobson over the last few laps, and he is making a lot of half moves, not really committing to getting ahead of Owen Potter. Peter Griffin has got down the road now, and I am rather getting frustrated at his indecisiveness. We're going to be decisive, we're going to get the move done. There's a slight touch, but pretty feisty move from a long way back, and he gives us the space, fair enough. We've now got to deal with the traffic of Owen Potter in the pre-95 class. Obviously this is not for position in class, but he could very much get involved in the fight for the win in pre-2000 as he nervously looks over the shoulder. Matt Dobson is just lurking on our tail, but the yellow flag's us out. Someone's come a cropper down the bottom end of the circuit, so we cannot make a move there. We have to wait for a green flag, and the next marshal post is clear, but typically I've absolute ballsed up the chicane. And so we're just going to tuck in here, running a slightly tighter line just so we don't leave the door open for Matt at this point. Making a mockery of that corner, just getting a lot of understeer in the kart, which you'll find out why later. But for now, Matt Dobson right on our bumper now as we go all the way around the outside through Billy's and down the bottom of the second. And Matt now tries to follow through. And just a quick look over the shoulder just to see where he is, because obviously we lost a bit of momentum with that move, but luckily for us we were able to extend a bit of a gap in the closing few laps and just manage our tyres a little bit. We're running the Vega tyres, which is a compound I've never run before. Very sticky for the opening couple of runs, but the fronts do tend to suffer. But despite all that, we're going to claim another win in the pre-2000 class. 2 heat wins and a DNS. So 1-2 out of the 3 heats in class, which is pretty decent. Can't really complain with that. We're going to suffer a bit though because of the non-start in the first heat. Maybe a bit of a tyre advantage, but we did use them in practice as well. So yeah, bit of sportsmanship between me and Matt. But yeah, between the last heat and the final, we did spot a crack in the yoke on the chassis. You probably can't quite see it on the camera, so just filming on my phone. But we didn't really get enough time to look into that. So we just have to make do as we push off for the final. And starting 3rd in pre-2000. But yeah, all to play for in this final. We know it's a bit of a longer final actually today. It's about 13 minutes plus a lap, so a few minutes longer in searing heat, so all to play for. But despite this long final, we know we cannot afford to get caught up in any backmarker traffic, so we need to get all guns blazing down to turn 1. There's actually someone a bit out of position, which messes us a bit, but straight round the outside, Stuart Guest. Can we get past Matt Dobson? There's a kart on the outside. We're going to have to dive up the inside, follow, and get that move done, so that's perfect. We haven't been held up by him. We've lost a little bit down the straight, but we're ahead of the back markers, so that's good. Paul Warrener there going very wide. He actually topped the morning practice. He's leading the championship in pre-2000 despite running in pre-95 this weekend. But he's a very quick driver. He's a veteran of the series. I know I can use Paul as a benchmark, and I can try and follow him through on any moves as he goes up the inside of Matt or has a look. And it's immediately apparent that we're struggling a bit in this race. It's not as easy. We've got massive understeer, partly because of the tyres, partly because of the crack in the yoke, but we're also just lacking a bit in power. Now we go for a huge send into the hairpin. I just had to follow Paul with that, and he went one way, I went the other, bit of Mika Hakkinen-esque. Slightly clumsy, but got it done. Now, as you can see here, we're reaching down and tinkering with something else. Now this is the power jet, so the jets sort of control the amount of fuel, the fuel mixture going into the carb, so you can lean off the mixture for a bit more performance off the bottom end and enriching it for a bit more top end, a bit more grunt towards the end of the straight. But we have now caught up to Matt a couple of laps later, and we're carrying so much speed into this banked hairpin, really sending it in hard on the brakes. But then just losing a bit through this section. The first half of the lap we're quite good, and I seem to have quite a good top end here, really good on the brakes through here, but then struggling with massive understeer into the chicane. Normally, well, at the start of the day we could take this pretty much flat. Now it's a big old lift and a bit of brakes. Down into the hairpin though, we're closing right up again, and the kart's hopping a bit off the corner, which is making life a bit tricky in the exits. But as the laps pass on by, it's quite clear we don't have the performance from earlier. Now, earlier in the day we were about half a second down the road, which is huge on a 30-second lap. And as you can see here, it's just ebbing and flowing like an accordion. There's a bit of a stalemate, as now Matt Dobson has caught up to Owen Potter in pre-95 again. So this is an ideal opportunity for us to try and get past, try and use this opportunity, because we know from earlier in the day Matt seems to be a bit hesitant, and if you're not going forwards in karting, you're quite often going backwards. As we have a little look, but he sort of half looks up the inside of Owen, which just makes his line tighter and slows him up through the corner. And now I didn't get the best run out the chicane, and that's going to cost me, because he's going to get past Owen here, and I just stick my nose in, hoping I can try and sort of intimidate him a little bit or make him back out. But he has the inside for this double left-hander in the horseshoe, and I'm just going to have to tuck him behind. And already Matt has now got 2-3 kart lengths on me, which is going to be hard to earn back the way this race is panning out. But we're going to go for the move around the outside of Billy's and pin it down to the apex, hold it nice and tight, pointing forwards like a Rotax driver, like a Rotax wanker. And yeah, need to push on here, because as Phil see lock up into the hairpin and close right up on him. But yeah, we need to make hay while the sun shines, because it was becoming a bit of a stalemate following him. This is not as easy as it was earlier in the day. This is a bit of a slog, and we're just lacking power in some areas, and also just combined with horrendous understeer out the last corner. Yeah, I'm going to have to play my cards wisely here and only go for a move if I really feel like there's a chance of getting past. So yeah, Matt is clearly just a little bit stronger in the second half of the lap. Just sort of mid to top end isn't, well, bottom to mid on the engine isn't quite there. Now the laps are passing on now, and whereas before I was able to get past him and just gap him pretty early in the race, that's very much not the case in this race, as we're about 10 minutes in at this stage, and it's becoming a bit of a stalemate, as I mentioned earlier. So I know that I'm going to have to make a move in my 2 strong points, and one of them is definitely the hairpin as we close right in on him, and the other opportunity potentially turn 2, the first braking zone on the lap. That's where we're also closing in quite a bit. Trying to keep it nice and tidy, keep it tight to the curbs in the first section, just get a clean exit out the chicane. And despite getting a clean exit out the chicane, we'd gain initially on the straight, and then he'd just eke it out a little bit. Now I can see that I am so much stronger on the brakes into this section, and realistically that's where the move is going to be. So we're flying along, the engine absolutely screaming. These things can hit up to 22,000 RPM, just let that sink in, hence why they quite often detonate themselves. But yeah, we're looking a little bit scrappy at this point. The kart is a bit of a handful to drive. Not that I want to slate Jay, and he's very kindly given me this kart for this weekend, but it's just life gets in the way, and he didn't have as much time as he would have liked to have restored and prepped things. But yeah, very appreciative of the opportunity. But yeah, we're going to have to deal with what we got at this point. We're a bit down on power, so I'm tweaking the power jet here to get a bit more fuel and a bit more down into the first braking zone we go. And Matt is a good kart length away from the apex there, so we can smell blood in the water. I just need a clean run out the chicane, and this is the closest we've been in a good few laps. We need to be decisive, and we need to be robust, and we're going to go for it down the inside. It's a long way back. We touch a little bit mid-corner, just banging wheels, but ever so slightly, and we're through into the lead. Now, just watching it again, it is from a long way back, but Matt has been very weak on the brakes all weekend long. We keep it tight to the curb, which just pushes us wide slightly. Do kiss front wheels, but you know, in my mind, that move was on, and I had every right to go for it, and I was fully alongside at the apex. It was a long way back, and it was hard, but in my eyes, it was, you know, it was robust but fair, just about. As we really need to push on now and make sure there's no chance for him to come back at us. Nice and tidy for a few laps now, really push on to the end, no looking behind us, just focusing on what's ahead. And by the end of the race, we managed to pull out a few second gap to win in pre-2000 for F100 on debut, which, as much as it was a small grid this weekend, this was a really fun and rewarding final, because you know it wasn't easy. It was a real slog, because of the issues I alluded to earlier. Obviously, I had the crack in the chassis, but it was in post-race scrutineering where we found that actually the head gasket was pissing out oil.
Alright, mate.
What a oh, mate.
It was a typical double road swing.
Oh, mate. These Rotax drivers are so dirty, aren't they?
Could have been a very different story had that race been a lap or two longer, because that engine was on its way out.
You right? Yeah. That's leaking. Thought it was leaking earlier.
When you drink, never drive.
That ain't gonna work.
I've got a beer in Park Burma.
Yeah.
Who did?
I'll take out the F100.
Who got beer?
Well, he's got himself a celebration beer.
Oh,
Joe, I don't really know why you're
mechanic
measuring this. It's one of your engines.
Yeah, I know, that's what
If you find it illegal, then you've really
Sorry,
fucked up.
it's illegal. Thrown out.
Are we?
Yeah, just for fun.
that'd be hard.
That does look a bit
Don't throw it,
like
let's give him a 10-second penalty.
Oh, shit, Dom.
Yeah, but most of that's not fresh leak. That's we're clear to go. Weekend's leak. You're good, thank you.
We only put on this morning, didn't you? Yeah, we only put it on, no, yesterday afternoon. That train was supposed to come in off.
We just P1 it at Clay Pigeon.
And I have to say, it was an immensely enjoyable weekend at karting, if not one of the most enjoyable. A massive thank you to Jay at F100 for making it happen, Jag Motorsport for the support and letting us race under their awning, Joe for absolutely smashing, learning a new class and nailing the push starts. But yeah, so many people to thank, and hopefully much more to come. So keep your eyes and ears peeled if you're lucky enough to have more than one. And I will see you very soon, guys, hopefully, for another karting video very soon. Take care. Ciao.